Hello, everyone. This is Attorney Anthony Reeves again, and I'm here to give you your legal beat tip of the day. Let's talk about the VA and Social Security. Now, one of the things that I've told people on a regular basis is that Social Security is not bound by disability determinations by other agencies. In other words, just because somebody else finds you disabled does not necessarily mean that Social Security is going to find you disabled. However, every now and then I'll get a question, like I got a comment from a gentleman or a gentlewoman, I'm not sure, who basically asked me, what is the success rate if you were found disabled by the VA as opposed to Social Security? Meaning, if you're found disabled by the VA, what's the likelihood that you're going to be found disabled by Social Security? Great question. Not straightforward answer though. Here's what I mean by this. The VA makes their disability determinations much differently from Social Security. Let me tell you why I say that. With the VA, typically they're dealing with basically on disability ratings, and they're looking at also different things when they're determining whether or not you're disabled. Remember that sometimes with the VA, you may be found disabled from an incremental standpoint, meaning you may be found 10% disabled or 20% disabled or service 10 or 30% service connected disability. That is totally different from Social Security because for Social Security, their standard is, can you work? Does your condition keep you from being able to do work? Just because the VA has found you disabled within the context of their guidelines doesn't increase the likelihood that you're going to be found disabled by Social Security. Now, remember when I first started and I said a disability determination by another agency is not binding on Social Security, but it is persuasive? Well, here's what I mean by this. The question really shouldn't be whether or not, if the VA finds me disabled, does that mean it's a greater likelihood I'm going to get Social Security? The question is how much of that rating is probably going to be more persuasive to them. What does that mean by this? Well, let's pause for a second. If you got a 10% service connected disability rating by the VA, that means they found you disabled for just 10%. Have you been found disabled by the VA? Yes, but it's only 10%. So how persuasive do you really think that's going to be on Social Security? Maybe not that persuasive. Because if they, let's say that the only reason why they gave you 10% is because you had an ankle injury from back in the day. Well, that's great for the VA, but remember, Social Security wants to know, can you work? Can you still sit? Can you still concentrate? Do you need to take can you take regular breaks without having to need extra breaks? If you can do all those things, the fact that you have a 10% service connected disability from the VA means nothing. Just keeping that in mind. They'll take in consideration, but it won't be as persuasive. Let's move it up a little bit. Let's go to the other extreme. What if you have a 100% service connected disability benefit? Is that going to help you? Probably a lot more, because when you're talking 100%, typically you're talking about a larger amount of problems that you're having that probably tiptoes into the area of impeding your ability to even do work. Now, here's where it gets tricky, because people will start to ask me, well, what about the range in the middle? It just depends on the evidence that you have from the VA. Remember, Social Security doesn't follow the VA disability rating the same way the VA does, just like the VA doesn't do the same thing with Social Security. Now, keep in mind, this is where it's kind of really weird. Do they help each other? Absolutely. If you got a disability rating with the VA, is it going to be persuasive and helpful to your case? Absolutely. Just like if you were applying for VA benefits and you were found disabled for Social Security, if it plays an interplay with your VA condition, it will help it as well. So they both kind of work with each other in terms of helping each other, but they're two separate and apart from each other. What I want you to recognize is one clear point. Whether it's VA, workers' comp, state disability, long term, short term, or whatever, don't get it in your mind that just because some other agency found that you were disabled, that you have a greater chance of getting with Social Security, because they're not bound by any of that. Is it going to help your case? Absolutely. But is it going to make your case a slam dunk? Do not go to sleep at night thinking it will, because you'll find yourself aggravated and upset. Just continue to do the things that I've always recommended. Keep going to the doctor, and one of the nicest things is if you're going to the VA, they do such a great job of documenting everything. They'll tell the Social Security what they found was the disability rating. So if they said you got a 50% VA disability rating on your back, You've probably gone to therapists, you've probably gone to specialists, you've probably done all the things that the average person who doesn't have access to the VA is able to do. So that should really be your biggest focus and your biggest benefit. So for those of you out there who find yourself wondering, if I get disability from the VA, will that automatically mean I'm going to have a greater opportunity? I'm going to tell you it depends. Does it help? Yes, but don't rely solely on that, because the two programs operate differently in terms of what their standard is for disability. Hope that helps you out. If you have any other questions, you know where to catch me up, legalbeat.anthonyreeves.com. Pay close attention, because I'm going to be making some great changes to my blog. As you probably noticed, I'm covering a variety of things in my blog. I'm actually going to be streamlining down and actually breaking out all the posts, because I've got about a good 3 years worth of posts that I've done on Social Security. So if you ever need to print out something to review it, you can. As always, you can always post comments here. The comments come to me via email, and I try to put videos to respond to them. And of course, you can always check me out at www.reevesfirm.com. And if you have any other questions, Anthony@reevesfirm.com, or you go to my website and you can fill out one of those forms on there. It comes directly to my office. If we can help you, we can. If not, we try to do our best to point you in the right direction. Have a happy new year, everybody. Stay out of trouble, and God bless.